Now, our theme today is waste management stakeholder engagement, and which we feel is very important for this nation. We've been having discussions as workers that provide these essential services, both water, waste, and also energy. Under this program referred to as promoting transparency and decent work in supply chains in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, we began this program or this particular project in 2020. And the major motivation was that, especially in Africa and the countries which were identified, among them Uganda, Botswana, Nigeria, and Kenya, we noted there's still a bit of a challenge when it comes to energy provision, where globally access to electricity is very low. For instance, if you look at the statistics in Uganda, we have less than 22% of the entire household connected to clean energy, which is electricity. Even though Uganda prides itself in terms of its energy mix, which currently stands at 98% being clean energy, and that is hydropower. We also looked at the issue of water. And we said in comparison to other countries in Africa, Uganda was still the country where most of the countries in Africa take a benchmark on how to maintain water within public hands. We must appreciate that the structural adjustment programs that were pushed by both IMF and World Bank, the Bretton Woods organizations, in 1980s and early 1990s, forced many of the African countries to privatize their public services. And that is when we had electricity being privatized in 2005. And we want to congratulate the government of Uganda for having taken the bold step to renationalize our electricity sector. Can you please join me in appreciating our government? However, when it comes to the waste management, it is the big elephant in the house. Research shows that annually, Uganda generates about 800,000 tons of waste, with Kampala city alone generating more than 2,500 tons per day. But you know, in all these cities, only less than 40% of this waste is currently being collected. And that means, and that is only within Kampala. If Kampala, which is the capital city, has the capability of only managing 40% of its daily waste, it can show you what happens to other cities. There is a big gap. Now, today it is a city full of filth. And the question we're asking ourselves, what has changed within less than 20 years? That a city which was able to manage its waste cannot be able to manage properly. But we must also appreciate that as Uganda, God has given us capital dividend in terms of population explosion. Uganda has got one of the highest birth rates in the world, with one woman giving average birth to 3.7 children. So that means the systems and the infrastructure which were there 20 years back are not able to meet the current challenges in terms of waste being generated. And that causes the crisis we see today. Other things that we also noted during that meeting was lack of coherent approach to waste management, especially in terms of policy and in terms of the responsibility of various players. So I hope today as we sit in this meeting to have a dialogue is that how do you move forward as a country? Uganda is known to generate almost 80% of its waste is organic waste, which can actually be turned into gold. If you look at many of our t-shirts, we say waste is gold, don't waste it. So we're hoping that even as we have this dialogue, we're going to hear from the mayors, we're going to hear from you honorable members of parliament, and everybody sitting here. What is the best way for Uganda? So that we do not continue in lamentation. The
evidence of broken waste, ladies and gentlemen, is quite clear. And because you are aware, these heavy rains only worsened this crisis. As seen recently, when floods wreaked havoc across Kampala, you saw the garbage behave. They were closing our drainage, and this was a significant factor. What's it looking into? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an environmental issue alone. It is a health and economic issue, problem. I think you agree with me that a lot of law issues that actually, invisible issues that we don't see, but it's a health problem, not a problem. If not addressed urgently, it undermines our national progress and global commitment. Actually, the Sustainable Development Goals, which are bound to achieve, which are bound to achieve by 2030. Let me highlight how proper solid management aligns with these goals. SDG 3, where we talk of good health and well-being. The accumulation of waste in urban and rural areas spreads diseases like cholera, typhoid, respiratory infections, whereas proper solid management will reduce pollution, improve sanitation, and save lives by cutting down the preventable illnesses. When you look at SDG 3, SDG 6, which talks of clean water and sanitation, our water bodies, including Lake Victoria, are under siege. Microplastic chemicals and untreated waste are polluting the very water we depend on. Therefore, managing waste responsibly will protect our water resources for today and future generations. As we gather today, we must resolve and ensure that we move towards that direction. Ladies and gentlemen, as Parliament debated and seconded the resolution that recently after the legislation, it was clear that bold and immediate action is required. Allow me to share some of the proposed solutions. And cities and legislators, I think, should actually look into this. One, we need to adopt waste segregation and modern technologies. We must adopt waste segregation at source, sorting waste into biodegradable, non-biodegradable, hazardous, and recyclable categories. This is not a new concept. Ladies and gentlemen, in Rwanda, our neighbors have proven that it works. And it starts with the community involvement and government enforcement. So as we live here, let's ensure that at least we make a paradigm shift and move into such a strategy. The other proposal is on the establishment of solid waste management fund. Ladies and gentlemen, last time we were here, still under PSI, when we were putting in money, they told you they have over 165 countries. But if they can actually find time, you know that it's important that you have had the person of Dr. Akesh has taken the Africa region. So let's clap for her. So PSI has an interest in this, ladies and gentlemen. So we must join hands and ensure that we show them parameters and way forward. At the end of the day, that can help. Local governments, however, they need financial and technical support. By creating a solid waste management fund, we can equip municipalities with the tools they need. Waste compression trucks, modern recycling equipment, and treatment facilities to reduce landfill dependency. Ladies and gentlemen, we rejoiced, I think, last year when we said we have gone into, we translated into the low income status. So what this means is that one of the key characteristics is low medium income, per capita income, and gross national product. This cannot be actually attained when the community is not healthy. Because most of what we think we can say will go into medication, and that's what actually categorize. And of course, when we talk about the Human Development Index, Human Development Index, the key characteristics here are also GDP per capita, health, life expectancy, and education. So if we don't actually address and arrest the situation, it means we shall not actually meet those parameters at the end of the day. And as Uganda, we may actually not reduce, we may actually transit and go backwards. So it's important that we look into this. The other aspect is turning waste into energy. Ladies and gentlemen, waste is not just garbage, as we think. It is a resource. Initiatives like an waste treatment plant demonstrate how biogas and energy can be generated from waste. We also look at fertilizers. And when we do this, it means we have an increase in employability. So ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we prioritize this matter urgently.
In Uganda, there is no local government that can afford using local revenue to sustain waste management. As you have seen, we have the waste. But I think this is not waste. This is a resource which we can tap from. I thank you, Honorable, for the recommendations you've made, because whatever you've said indicates that if we put waste to proper use, we can utilize it and get the best out of it. There is no waste to waste. So I call upon members of Parliament, as we think for the country, let us think outside the box, plan better, and see that all cities and urban centers will come out strategically to address the issue of waste management. Not only waste, we have seen silt coming to the streets, properly tarmacked roads, and now silt is building on the roads and damaging them. So strategically, if we came up with a fund, like you said, separate from all other grants, and this fund is intended to address issues of waste management, I think Uganda is going to be one of the best countries.
We want competent firms that can go ahead after collecting the garbage, even manage it. They should have their sites, but also manage the garbage. Not pick money from the people, they pick a lot of money, collect the garbage and dump it where we are dumping, Katikolo and others. We need real companies that are meaningful, not just collectors. What we have are collectors. Garbage management is a chain. We should work towards constructing a garbage chain right from generation to where it is done. Where you have a breakage somewhere, we have a crisis. That is my reaction to what you've said. Solid Waste Management Fund, as a country, we needed it even 20 years back. We needed, because now, waste management is commingled with a lot of other things. In KCC, it is in the Department of Management, what, it is just down there. Can it stand alone, given the seriousness of the matter?
So my question now goes to the mayors and to the members of parliament. What can we do different? What new innovations do we need as a country? can we put up plans to process garbage in this country? What is the challenge? And how can the rest of the citizens be part of this program? Because it's affecting everyone. We as workers are very organized people. We are very organized, if you didn't know. And if you involve us in the process of managing garbage in this country, I believe we can together succeed. It may not take a short time, but it will be possible. Garbage is killing us. 30 people lost in one day is not a small number. And moreover, to garbage. The mayor Nakawa just told us that we bring a whole garden of matoke to Kampala on a truck. Carry the soil, carry the stems, carry the leaves to Kampala. What do we expect? Let's think smart. Let's begin to think smart. We only need the matoke to be cooked. We don't need everything here. Cooking in Ndagala, you are now in the city. Change your method of cooking.
Since I joined Parliament, this is my first best workshop. I've been waiting for this. I'm a lawyer by profession with 4 degrees, but I've turned out to be an aggressive environmentalist. My 4 years now in Parliament, I've raised over 5 million seedlings, and I've given it free to both refugees and host communities. So long as you give me the microphone, whether it's for at a funeral, what I say, it's not now that we're talking to the dead, we're talking to ourselves, neighbors. Have you seen how our country has become colored? Have you seen that our country has gone to the dogs? Uganda is the best country ever on this universe called Earth. But we have messed our country. I'm one person who goes downtown. When it rains in Kampala, I would like to carry my car and put on my head. They open the sewage spots. Real life physics jumps out. Yesterday it rained and they drove down. I wept for my car. Really, you people. Where are the people of Kampala? We cannot continue to lament and say there is no money. I am from the Committee of Presidential Affairs and I've just moved to Natural Resources. Kampala, can you imagine Kampala bringing us the biggest budget was to build a monument for Corona? Really? Do we still have human beings running this city? How can you ask money, the biggest budget, to build a monument for Corona? This is how big the brains we have assigned